Hey, it's Ian at Really Good Thinking, home of ideas that matter. How are you doing? I've got a friend who I've contacted through Twitter, got to know a little bit through another friend, and I've been reading his blog for about 3 months, and it's been great to get to know Tim Brownson. How are you doing, Tim?
I am doing fantastic, thanks, Ian. And thanks very much for asking me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, the only reason I'm asking you is to find out if it's true that you are a real Englishman, because I heard from Not a Pro blog that there's a lot of fake Englishmen going around claiming to be, proper Englishmen in the US. Is that true?
Yes, it's funny you should say that, actually, because I've had a habit now for probably going back best part of 15 years, ever since I've been on email, to end every email, cheers, Tim. It's even just my signature now, it's cheers, Tim, and then my details and what have you. And I actually got an email back from somebody, it's a while ago now, it's probably a couple of years ago now, saying, how pretentious, nobody says cheers, only the English people say cheers. So I had to email back and said, yeah, I am English, And I did get accused of faking it once in a nightclub many years ago over here. And, whatever. No, I am as English. And I'm half Lancastrian. My mother was from, as you know, from Little Bispam. So I spent a lot of time in Blackpool.
I understand. Well, I'm going to give you a little English test in a minute. But first of all, Tim Brownson, who the hell are you?
Who the hell am I? I'm a life coach. I live in Windermere, which is about 5 miles outside Orlando in Florida. So we can see the fireworks at Disney every single night. Imagine how much fun that is after 5 years. Again, first few nights, so that was great. I'm a life coach, author. I've had 2 published books. Actually, that's not true. 1 published and 1 self-published, How to Rich and Happy. And I swan around doing most of whatever I want, whenever I want, which is partly where the title for the book came. So, and I love it over here. I'm not a big fan of US politics, but other than that, if I could turn the camera now, you'd see outside, it's about 85 degrees, there's no humidity, blue skies,
Nice one.
Else? Yeah, absolutely. I get up in the morning, I put shorts on. I don't have to go and open the front door and check what the weather's doing. It's Florida, it's October, so it's hot. I'll put shorts on, I don't think I'll wear trousers from about the end of probably March right the way through till about December, so it's cool.
Right, well, I've got to give you a proper English test here to make sure that you are actually an Englishman. All right, are you ready?
Go for it, yeah.
All right, then. What's this?
HP sauce. It's brown sauce. My wife's favourite. She loves it. It costs about $5 a bottle over here.
What does it go well with?
Well, I'm not a big HP, but I do quite like it. She likes it with chips, actually. She likes it with a fry-up. She does like it with a fry-up.
Nice one, okay. Yeah, so you're proper English then, Tim?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
What's this all about then?
How to Rich and Happy? Yeah. A very brief story. About 3 years ago, I was playing golf with my co-author, John Strzelecki. And John said to me, we're just about to tee off, and he turned to me and he said, I'm working on this book at the moment. And John's had, he's had 3 bestsellers. So, and one of them called The Big Five for Life is fantastic. It's one of my favourite ever business books.
Yeah.
And he turned to me and he said, I'm working on this book. Do you want to read the outline to it? I said, yeah. I said, what's it called? He said, How to Be Rich and Happy. I was like, oh no. And I had to turn away because I wanted to giggle. I'm thinking that's about as naff a title as you're going to get, How to Be Rich and Happy. So anyway, I said, well, send me the outline. I'll check it out. So he sent it me, and I never did anything with it. And I had it for about 3 months, and then I was due to see him again. I can't remember, we were playing golf again or lunch or whatever. I thought, oh, God, I better read that outline of that book, and so that I can tell him about it. And I read it, and I just thought, this is fantastic. This is like all the bits about in terms of coaching, in terms of life that I don't do, I'm not ever so good at. But if I put the stuff that I'm good at in there, really make it a complete book. So I went to him and said, look, I really like it. Do you want to write it together? And he said, yeah. So we started working on it together. I've always been a bit like that with the title. Some people, it turns them off, but it's meant to be deliberately provocative because the book isn't about being rich. It's about doing things that make you feel rich, having a life. I've got we don't even own our own housing. Seriously, I've got no money, I've got no pension, I've got, I'm 48, I live month to month, but I feel rich in terms of lifestyle. I walk the dogs in the morning, I play golf when I want to play golf, I only see 3 clients a day, and I have a kind of lifestyle that to me is like, this is fantastic. I'm not prepared to go, I've come from corporate UK working 80 hours a week and high pressure sales, and I will never go back to that again. You could offer me $1 million bucks a year and I wouldn't go back into that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, so it's repositioning really what we mean by rich and then building a life around that definition.
Absolutely, yeah. Because really, if you boil it down to happy, if you said to everybody you can be happy,
yeah,
because people think that certain things are going to give them happiness. So, people often can't wrap their head around the fact that money doesn't ever, there's so much research, and some of it's in the book, we've included in the book, there's so much research that demonstrates conclusively that once you lift people out of poverty, it's one thing if you're in debt and you're struggling to pay that's one thing. I understand that's, but once when you put somebody on 100 grand a year or 200 grand a year, there's no correlation between happiness. The 200 grand a year person isn't happy. You think they're going to be.
Yeah.
And the thing is about this, everybody gets that, but they don't get it for themselves. They think it just applies to everybody. Oh, yeah, I agree, money don't buy happiness. Now give me some more money.
Yeah.
Be happy. So it's, yeah, you're absolutely right, reposition.
Are there any triggers? Is there anything we can do once we acknowledge that, being rich is about more than stuff? It's about relationships, it's about health, it's about all the good things that we really, really treasure that we don't think about unless we're threatened with losing them. So what can we do to get off this treadmill of going for all the wrong stuff, Tim?
Ian, if I could answer that in 10 seconds, I probably wouldn't be talking to you now because I'd be too busy banking all my cash or counting it or sat on the beach somewhere, because that is such a tough question. One of the approaches that I use is the certain thing, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Jackie Stewart. I'm sure you are, the racing driver from the 60s and 70s. I know I'm a bit older than you, but Jackie Stewart said there's 2 things that men won't admit they're bad at, and that's driving and lovemaking. The other thing is, and this applies to women as well, there's something else. Nobody will admit that they're closed-minded. You say to people, are you open-minded? Yeah, okay, I'm sure there are some people, so I'm generalising. Most people think they're open-minded. So, my question to people in that situation, or clients that come to me, will be, okay, if you're open-minded, you must be open-minded to believe that you can start changing that lifestyle, that you can start reading stuff that gives an alternative point of view.
Yeah.
And if people aren't prepared to do that, then it's very difficult. It's very difficult. We want to hold on. I was listening to, I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Ariely.
Yes, Predictably Irrational.
Yeah, well, these new ones just come out. It's just fascinating how irrational we are as human beings.
Yeah.
And it's just... So I don't know, I'm waffling a bit now because I don't know the answer to that. It's probably one of the most difficult things you can do to get people to step out of the way they view something and view it in a different way.
Yeah, but I did spot one of your blog posts recently which talked about using these triggers, and I thought that was a really helpful way of thinking. Anchoring something, something's already anchored in a positive or a negative feeling, and you can somehow connect those positive or negative feelings to something else. What's that all about, Tim? Because I thought that was really, really helpful.
Well, an anchor is just a conditioned response.
Well, you'll have to listen to part 2 to get Tim's answer to that question. But thanks very much for listening to part 1 of my chat with Tim Brownson. His blog is adaringadventure.com. That's adaringadventure.com. And I hope to see you back for part 2.